I believe we have a choice in this world about how to tell sad stories. On the one hand, you can sugarcoat it. And nothing is too messed up that can't be fixed with a Peter Gabriel song. I like that version as much as the next girl does. It's just not the truth.
Grant, fetch me my tissue. JJ, the woes of movies. Okay. Forgive us, folks. We were talking about this movie before. I believe we both went to this with a girlfriend.
Yes.
And I believe our girlfriends both enjoy it. So that's good. And we're talking about The Fault in Our Stars, everyone. Welcome. We're getting way too ahead of ourselves. Welcome to Geek Bubble Movie Review. I'm John, and today I'm going to be joined with my counterpart.
Hi guys, I'm JJ.
JJ's starting to make more of an appearance now, which is pretty nice. And we're going to be talking about The Fault in Our Stars, which is, it's a little bit late. We didn't get to quite review it. We saw it when it came out. I'm pretty sure you saw it right when it came out too.
I saw it probably a week or two after it came out.
Okay.
Slightly after you, but
but you know, we've been pretty busy with jobs and stuff. So, but I think honestly, we both kind of want to talk about it and get our thoughts on it because I think there is a lot to talk about with a film like this.
Yep.
And did you read the book?
I did not read the book.
Neither did I. Experts. We should talk about this. Yeah. But my girlfriend read the book.
Okay.
And I think she was telling me about it, and after seeing this film, I really, really want to read this book.
Okay.
Because this film is advertised as like a chick flick,
right? Which
is a title, you know, everyone likes, but that is what it's advertised as. But this book, the way that Morgan describes it, is that it's really much more talking about philosophical ideas and kind of just having like these meanderings about life. And John Green, I was actually looking at some interviews with John Green. He was saying like, well, I wrote this book because I wanted to write a book and I kind of was able to tell people how to live a good life, which I thought was that's very interesting. And Morgan was talking, and my girlfriend Morgan was talking about it, and she said, yeah, they get into some pretty deep stuff talking about it. And occasionally, this film kind of gets pretty deep, talking about like religion and philosophy. Occasionally, because this movie wanted to focus on the romance.
Yep.
And I mean, so that's, I think, honestly, the crux of what The Fault in Our Stars is. However, I still think it had some thought-provoking things to it.
Yeah.
Besides being just, oh my god, this movie is just a gut punch, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
When your movie revolves around two characters that are high forms of cancer experiences in their life, it's just not going to be all that uppity.
Is it just me, or is this movie like trying to be uppity too? Like it's trying to tell jokes, but it's like you can't get out of your head. Like this is such a sad story.
Yeah, I was actually probably kind of swept along by the movie, maybe a little bit more than you were. Like when the jokes were said, I would kind of laugh and my mood would lighten. Like, the direction of the movie kind of, like, took me with it. Yeah. Like, I wasn't, like, sitting there like, that joke would have been funny if I wasn't so sad. It did do some things right.
So you were just laughing your ass off with tears on your cheeks. Right. Like, I
wasn't laughing, but, those chuckles that are like, oh...
That kind of cute humor?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see that. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who have not read the book, the two of you who have not read this book, it seems like everyone read it, besides you and me. Yeah. The Fault in Our Stars is about this girl named Hazel, who's played by Shailene Woodley, a great actress.
Yeah, she did a really good job.
She did. This girl named Hazel, who is afflicted with cancer, and she kind of just lives this boring little life. In many ways, she's kind of given up. She's just waiting to die. But her parents make her go to this cancer support group, right? Mm-hmm. And where she meets Gus.
Wonder Boy.
Oh boy, Gus, what a player. You know, when you're able to just sweep a girl off her feet with cigarettes, good on you. Yep. I love that. That was such a great part. But anyway, she meets this boy Gus, and Gus is clearly coming on to her, and they kind of have this immediate connection as people because they both have a love for books and literature and stories. And Hazel has her favorite book of all time. And it's really about this person dying. And then she makes him read it. And what brings them together is that they both just fall in love with this book. And, I mean, that is where the film tries to really grab onto a narrative. Is that these people love this book and they kind of go on this adventure of trying to find this author. While at the same time trying to find some meaning in their lives. Because, honestly, this is this incredibly tragic story about these two young people who have to live a lifetime in a few years. Just saying that is just kind of getting me like, God, that's so sad. These poor people. And I don't know, man. I want to like this movie so much.
Yeah.
But I left it, and when a movie can make me cry, usually I'm just like standing up and applauding. But this one I was just like, I'll never ever watch this movie ever again.
Really? So you thought it like stole your tears from you?
Okay. Art, in my opinion, can be sad. It can, but I think art has to have like some sort of solution to itself. Like, it doesn't have to be happy. It can be a warning. But art can't be sad for sad's sake. Usually I like it to be like a light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay.
And like this film, it's so sorrowful. And it has no answers. Because I think it like, John Green's book, like we were saying, was philosophical. And maybe that kind of had some sort of answer. Like, well, take life for what it is. Live for what it wants to be. But this film, I feel like, focuses so much on this romance that I never get some sort of answer. It's like, well, this life is horrible. These people have the worst luck possible, and they are forced to live this sort of rushed love fling, and it's just tragic, and I just feel really bad for them. I didn't really learn anything from their lives.
So you're saying that because it was very heavily romance-based, and with the drama between the two, that the sorrow tone that is just ever prominent, that plot is romance, you're saying it just doesn't connect?
Well, it's just, there's so much suffering that I feel like I'm just getting beaten without knowing why.
Okay.
Like, there's no lesson. Okay. Like, Dad just took the whip and decided to abuse me. I don't want to go.
And you paid $10 for it.
I paid for it. Like, okay, man. They go to the house of Anne Frank.
I know.
And it's just like, they are paralleling Anne Frank's life with this girl. I was just like, oh my God. You know you're dealing with something that is so depressing. It is so depressing.
Yeah, I don't know if I've come out clear and said this yet on this podcast, but I definitely wept like a little child. Yeah. I was at work, and one of my coworkers was like, talking about it, assumed that I wasn't going to go see it because I'm a guy, and told me something very important about the characters and how they end. So I went in thinking, I'm not going to cry because I kind of already know what happens. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, that little twist comes about, and it's like, that's right, nope, mm-mm. And then maybe like 2 minutes later, maybe 2 minutes later, it's like, oh shit.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was crying, man.
Yeah,
It got me.
Yeah, I walked out of the theater, someone I knew was there, said, oh man, you cried? And I just looked at him in the face and said, yeah.
And you'll be watching this movie, folks, and you'll be watching it, and you'll be like, happy with people like, this isn't so bad. I mean, they got a few things that are bad. You ain't seen nothing.
Yep.
They're just loading up their best rounds to shoot you in the heart. Right?
Yep.
It is just, it's so sad.
Yep.
And I mean, I can understand people enjoying this film and being just emotionally rocked by it, but I also have some complaints with just the overall presentation and production.
Okay.
So, first I'll talk about the acting.
Okay.
I think Shailene Woodley is an amazing actor.
True.
I mean, she is just... I've seen her... She's like 4th, 5th movie? I don't know, she's...
Did you see Divergent?
Yes.
Okay.
That's actually my least favorite film from her.
Okay, I did not see that.
Okay. Because I love her in The Decemberists. I mean, not December. Oh my God. The Descendants. And I really, really loved her in Spectacular Now. And I think she's excellent in this film. And I was honestly thinking about it. I was like, she's so good in this movie. If she got a nomination towards award season, I think it's totally worth it. I think she totally deserved it. She carries this film.
A nomination or a win?
A nomination.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I don't know about win.
Yeah.
Hell, if there's nothing else, then
She ain't
sure,
no
she
Leo.
gets
No,
it. Leo nominated for best actress.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
So, the reason why I'm so impressed with her role here is because John Green writes these characters very articulate. Like, they have a large vocabulary because they read a lot. And so, the sentences that these characters compose are just incredibly dense. And she just uses that, and she just takes that dense dialogue and just dances around like it's nothing. She's excellent with it. And then you got Gus, who I think he's a good actor, but this movie needed a great actor. This movie needed a guy who could do more. Because, 2 reasons. This guy does not know how to deal with the dialogue that he's been given.
Okay.
It's just like, he does not know how to just mold around it. In fact, he has the best line, I think, in this entire film. And it involves him basically confessing his love to her at a dinner. And he says what is one of the most prolific and just kind of moving statements of love ever. He's so moving.
Yep.
But God, he just doesn't know how to deliver it right.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't feeling it at all. And then there was the scenes that demanded him to cry. It was just like,
yeah, I didn't
I
think
wasn't feeling it.
She was a good crier.
She's so good at crying. But then he used to cry, and it's just like, oh God, I just wasn't believing it, and I especially wasn't believing him with the quiet scenes, with the scenes where the camera just looks at him, and he has to convey an emotion or some sort of response without talking. Okay. You just have to look at him, and
he always has the same look,
and he just has this dumb freaking look the entire time. Like, it's not getting in there at all. Like, he's not even listening to what these people are saying. And he's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's just the way, like, his face just naturally looks or something. Like, with, like, his lips or cheeks or something. But, like...
Big old lips.
Yeah. Like, where it just kind of looks like a non-comprehensive look.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of just sits there and stares. Like, I agree with you a little bit on that.
Okay.
I did think... I guess I was just so wowed by her that I guess I just grouped them both together and thought, hey, you know, they did a good job. But I can see what you're saying.
Because I was feeling the film so much
that
whenever he kind of came and just sort of dislodged me from the film even a little bit, I just felt it like it just made miles, like a gap of miles between me with this film. Because if this film's able to make me cry, I mean, honestly, if he was as good as he should have been, geez, this movie just would have been a wreck. I mean, I went back and I watched 12 Years a Slave.
Okay.
12 Years a Slave is just brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, that film is... I was shaking the first time I saw 12 Years a Slave. I was so moved by it and just kind of scarred by it. But I went back and saw it again because 12 Years a Slave has a point at the end, especially as a redemption. And it understands that. It understands that if you're going to trudge your hero through the muck and hell, it has to come out through the end. It has to come out through the end through the light. There has to be a light at the end of the tunnel, so we actually feel like there's a purpose. At the same time, I just didn't feel any of the pain they went through was worth it. They didn't come to any sort of conclusion.
I think the author of the book that they both really like, the book that connects them, I think he kind of has a little bit of a role in saying that it's like, he kind of just has this attitude that it doesn't matter, you know, like it's just, it is what it is, just blah, you know, just like, it doesn't matter. And they're both, definitely Hazel is a kind of person that's, you know, sticks out from the crowd, like doesn't want to conform, just very much so like wants to be her own person, I guess, like doesn't want to be that traditional teenage girl, right? She kind of, So maybe with those kind of themes being brought up, what if this film is trying to stray from the traditional and not trying to give its characters, you know, a sort of redemption? Or what if, like, do you know what I'm saying there? Like,
no, I get what you're saying.
Okay.
I understand that. I mean, I've watched some films that have just sort of been like, no, we're not going to give you this, the happy ending you want. I don't want a happy ending. I'm not asking for that. I don't want it to all turn out right.
Okay.
But I do want some sort of lesson learned. Because I don't really feel like I don't feel like I really learned something from this film or learned to appreciate something from this film. And I think that's honestly the biggest message of this book and the story has to give us is appreciate life. I mean, if I had to sort of dig something out of it. But I just don't... It's either I feel like I've seen that so many times before that I just feel this didn't deliver it in any interesting way, or that I just don't think this film was ever trying to really focus on that. I felt it was focusing much more on the fact that these two just love each other, and that was the last thing I think it had to say. It was like at the ending sequence is just, no, we're gonna be reminded of how much these two loved each other.
So what if the film is just saying that they found love and that's all you need in a lifetime, whether it's short or not?
Well, I kind of got that. It was like they were just the small in the large expanse of the universe and time, this infinite time, that they were this small tiny blip. That to them, that this small thing was something that was for them
still infinite, somehow
infinite and just is immaculate, and it gave purpose to them in the tragedy that is their lives. And towards the end, the film throws a twist at you, and I feel as though it's the writer just wanting to make the characters suffer some more.
Okay.
Because even though they've learned, even though they've moved on from the tragedy that is their horrible life, that's just not enough. And I feel as though, like, I don't want to say, like, I wanted a happy ending, because I don't want to say that, but this film, I didn't leave it, the sadness of this film was some sort of, like, well, it was worth it, you know?
Okay.
Like, I could talk about 12 Years a Slave, I could talk about Schindler's List. I mean,
okay.
Schindler's List is so sad.
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's so sad, but there's a really good ending to it. I feel like The Fault in Our Stars is trying to teach us that love is good.
Yes.
That love is infinite. It is the most important thing in life.
Yeah.
I already know that.
Okay.
I don't feel like I really learned anything different. I feel like the film is... Okay, I'm just going to say, I think the film is a little bit manipulative in its emotion. I think it makes people cry because it knows how to just hit every single emotional button. Just be like, oh, you're not sad yet? Well, this is going to make you even sadder. And that's kind of why, when we talk about that Anne Frank scene,
yeah,
I didn't like it.
Okay.
Because I thought it was manipulative. Because I was like, you're gonna bring Anne Frank into this?
Yeah.
I don't think it is a bad film.
Okay.
I don't think that.
Okay.
But it's far from a great film.
I do think that whether I know the theme is good or not, or whether I know this theme prior to seeing the movie, I still think that if it's gonna bring it up, I'm all for it. You know, like, I don't think that just because I already know it, it kind of faults.
Okay.
It's in the film's fault.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm saying I like the fact that love being, no matter how small, you know, that tiny little blimp on an infinite, you know, scale, to them, to those two people, is the ultimate. You know, like, I think that is really cool. I thought it was something special seeing it with my girlfriend as well. Mm-hmm. Showing how great love can be, no matter what the scenario is. And I guess I just thought that that message was actually still good.
We won't dwell on this for too long, or too much longer, but that's just kind of what I got out of it. I feel like this was a film that was just depressing, and I love my depressing movies because they make me feel at least like life is beautiful and worth it. And this film does say life is beautiful, life is worth it, but oh my god, it says it in the most obvious way, I think, and I think it honestly doesn't say anything beyond that, and it kind of puts me through hell for hell's sake. We've gone over this point like over and over again, how people are okay, which I was just really trying to hammer out. I was trying to talk about basically the crux of what the film is.
Right.
More things I want to talk about this film.
Yeah, I was going to say I did not want to... Yeah.
I got problems with it. Whoever directed this, Josh Boone.
Yeah.
Not well directed.
Not well directed?
It was not well directed.
Okay.
Here's my problem with it. First off, it's the moment it started, that editing, man, it felt so choppy.
Okay.
And it's either I got used to it or it just got better, but I just felt like the way he was just editing it was just very kind of confusing, and the continuity wasn't going too well. It just wasn't feeling it too well. I especially did not like the way this film was shot.
Okay.
And like, I was actually looking at interviews, and they're talking about the making of this film. They're like, well, we wanted to take this very step back approach from it. And if you notice this film, a lot of the shots are just sort of like these medium shots. They just kind of show them. And not in any sort of like cool angle or any way. They don't frame it in a very intimate way. They just show it in this sort of just how it is.
They let the story tell itself.
Well, yeah, I think like they said we just want these two people to just sort of like their intimacy should be obvious, and it shouldn't be something that's overblown. It should just be like any other relationship.
Okay.
I think that was a big mistake on this film's part, because I think part of what film is using the camera. The camera is supposed to tell a story in itself.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the camera captures no intimacy of these characters. And there's this one scene that sticks out specifically in my head, is that it's not a scene, it's just a shot. And it just shows them on like a bus, and they're just in the bus, and they're just kind of like holding each other, and they're having this kind of like intimacy. You can tell, like they're very close.
Mm-hmm.
But the camera is just—it's not in the right place. It should have been closer. It should have been a little like more lower angle. It should have been intimate, and
Okay.
we would have felt so much more.
As opposed to seeing everyone else riding that bus.
As opposed to them just being like, I kind of get what they're going for, because they just look like one of many, of many,
Okay.
and they were just sort of in their own little element.
Okay.
But it wasn't effective. Like, I could see where they were trying to be effective with that, but I think honestly they did it so much, like that could have been effective. Like just having the camera kind of just like placed and zoomed out, and having them seem like one of many, and like it's make that moment even more special because they're just sort of isolated.
Okay.
But I think romantic films should take some sort of perspective and some sort of emphasis on the love towards people.
Okay. I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't really notice any of the camera or the direction. Maybe now that I've heard you say that, if I go back and see it another time, I'll maybe pick up on what you're saying.
Yeah.
In general, I guess I sort of just assume that if a director is trying to make an artistic, pretentious standpoint, of like like saying, oh, the story tells itself.
Okay.
Let's not let the camera do it. I kind of just say, okay, well, let's just see how the film is. I mean, so what you're saying is you thought the film could have been more had they been not so pretentious.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think the way they went about it was pretty pretentious, because even listening, they're like, well, all these other films do this. We're going to go about this minimalistic way,
Okay.
And I was like, no, man, it just didn't come across for me.
Okay.
And we talked a lot about Shailene Woodley and
Yep.
Ansel Elgort. So we got to piece up with those guys.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about some of the other actors that were in this film.
Okay.
William Dafoe's in this movie.
Yeah.
And he's William Dafoe.
Yeah.
We're done. He's great. All right, I love it. Laura Dern,
The Jurassic
Park lady.
Yeah.
She is really good.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I may not talk about like acting in particular, but like the character that she plays is just like this unrelentlessly loving mother. Like her daughter has cancer and is like really kind of just trying to be a little like, don't try and help me out,
Yeah.
I can do this on my own, but I want to be alone. I want to be alone. And this mom's like, you're not going to live a happy rest of your life. So like she's constantly trying. And I don't know about you, but like if I was her, if I was that mother, I would be like going insane by that point. Like all I want is for my daughter to live a happy 2 more years or something.
See, like,
and the daughter just resists. I'd be like, why don't you get it? Try and be happy.
I kind of felt the exact same with her. And like, I think she wasn't honestly in the film that much, but when she was, she just did her job so well. Just really capturing. She took the time to make sure that the audience not only understood the perspective of these 2 kids, but they understood the perspective of parents having to see their children go through this.
Mm-hmm.
Props to her. I think she's actually a pretty awesome actress, and I really got a lot of respect for her on this.
Mm-hmm.
Get this thought out before I kind of lose it.
Yeah.
What do you think of the soundtrack?
I kind of forget what it's.
Okay. I didn't like it.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that. I just remembered. This soundtrack. I hate a soundtrack that tries to sell
pop
itself.
songs or something?
It was one of those things where they start playing some sort of like pop or some sort of like indie song.
Yeah.
Like that in like the most like heavy-handed ways.
Okay.
Like it's like all right, time for them to feel emotion now, and it just didn't feel natural.
Okay.
Like the songs were just kind of like all over the place. I just don't like when films are trying to sell their soundtracks in such an obvious way. I think we've just sort of beat this film around enough.
Yeah.
I'm glad we get to talk about it.
Yeah.
So you want to go into final thoughts?
What do you have? What do you have for final thoughts?
Okay. I think The Fault in Our Stars. I mean, I've taken a bit of pride in here and just beating the crap out of it and saying it, but
Okay.
this is not a bad movie.
Okay.
It is. I will praise it where praise is due. Why I feel so strongly about this film is because I think, honestly, from what I'm getting from the source material, this could have been a great movie.
Okay.
A really great movie that had a lot to say, and I feel like they just completely dropped the ball on that. I think they kind of just took the easier road out, and that just kind of turned into a little bit of a big car accident. Like, just everything started kind of mashing together in a bad way.
Okay.
Where we just all feel super depressed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't like that. I think Shailene Woodley is great in the film. I think she should go on to make other films. I think there's a lot of really fun and moving moments. And it's a film that will make you cry. And I think, honestly, that's the beauty of film in the first place. I'm disappointed in where this film goes with that. And honestly, if you don't want to feel depressed for the rest of the day, don't go and see this movie. I would definitely say that. Don't take your... I think it's a movie you don't take your girlfriend to.
Really? Why?
I don't want them to because it's just... It just sort of talks about the futility and... I don't know, man. I wasn't feeling the love at the end of this movie.
Okay.
It was more of a thing of like...
It was definitely not one where it's like, let's go, cuddle and just like...
No, exactly.
Afterwards. It was more just like, I might need my space for a little bit.
No, exactly. It was like, it's where most like chick flicks are like, whereas like, oh, look at the beauty of love. Like, oh, it's so beautiful. Like, isn't that great? This was like Aldous Huxley. Like telling us, like, cherish it. It's like it was like Brave New World warning kind of method. I'm going to settle 3 stars.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
that's what I'll give it.
Yeah,
that's all I'll give it.
So, final thoughts. I had you go first because I wasn't sure what final thoughts really meant.
Okay.
But I think my opinion has sort of been clear throughout this. I like the acting. I think maybe the intro, the very beginning of the love sequences may have just been like a little forced or unnatural. But over time, I clearly forgot about it as I was watching the film and again became engaged. I'm starting to see your side on they're just taking cheap punches at the gut. They're just trying to make you cry. I went out of it and was like, they made me cry. Props to them.
Exactly.
Great movie.
Like,
So
that was my exact reaction. I was like, well, I cried, so it's great, isn't it? And I was like, wait a minute.
From the start of this review, my opinion has gone down slightly.
Okay.
And I'm gonna sit at a 4-star for now.
Okay.
I still believe that the love theme works. It worked for me. I can totally understand why it does it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I may have to go see this again because now that I've heard your thoughts on the camera, maybe like once I start looking at it from an objective lens, basically my subjective lens was just hit by a semi-truck, right?
Okay,
like it was like, oh,
jeez.
So
cancer, a cancer truck,
yeah, with the pink ribbon. No, so oh god, yeah. I'm gonna go watch it again, and I think with this film, it might go down a little bit. I think, but that's why I gotta give it a shot. As of right now, it's
still
a
4 stars. Strong recommendation.
It's a chick flick that I was like, wasn't ashamed that I went to, and I wasn't ashamed that I cried. Because there are definitely some chick flicks that are like, that was just so stupid. Like, I didn't think this was stupid by any means. And
I just got the perfect amalgamation of my thoughts on it.
Okay.
It just wasn't 500 Days of Summer.
I know.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's the same thing with 500 Days of Summer. That film could have been so tragic and just like pointlessness of love, but 500 Days of Summer is like, no man, no man, that's not what it's like.
Come here,
but this film is like, hey man, come here, cry now,
read this,
read it out.
Yeah, I liked it. I want to go see it again. I know you don't. Maybe we can go on a date together.
Yeah.
I'll drag you to.
I'd love to hold
sweetie.
You.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for listening, those who did.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to get this off our chest.
I know. There aren't many other people joining us today,
I know.
But like
a bunch of cowards,
right?
I'd say.
I truly feel that like this was a movie that I was looking really forward to reviewing because there's just so much to say, and whether it's all good or all bad. I think a lot of our other movies are all, you know, either we're all praising it or all like meh.
Yeah.
This one was like, definitely there are sides to be taken, and so look out for that, viewers.
At least it's worth. At least it does generate discussion.
It generates discussion.
There we go. All right. Well, until our girlfriends drag us to another film.
I'm JJ.
I'm John, and we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
This is the truth.
Hey, make some friends.
Sorry.
My bad. I'm Augustus Waters. I've been in remission for about 1.5 years.
Maybe you'd like to share some of your fears with the group.
My fears? Oblivion. What's your name?
Hazel.
What's your full name?
Hazel Grace Lancaster. Why are you staring at me?
Because you're beautiful.